Australia. Vast. Rugged. A place that creates legends. He saved my life once. Truth. Every legend has a beginning.
Blue! You're red! You're red! I have a good feeling about us. I think we're going to be best mates.
My next guest is the producer of that film, Red Dog, True Blue. Nelson Woss has produced both the Red Dog movies, the original Red Dog in 2011, and now this new one coming out on Boxing Day. But he never imagined himself in film. As a matter of fact, Nelson moved to the US in 1990 to study business in Boston. So how does a guy end up as a movie producer? We're going to find out. Nelson's on the line right now. Nelson, welcome in.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you for meeting me on Saturday. It was a delight to see the film and to meet you personally.
It was a fun experience, wasn't it?
Oh, it was wonderful. It really was.
The dog was having a good time too.
Yes. Well, you had a screening in 2 cinemas, and I believe the dog performed well in both of those. So, absolutely wonderful. What was this experience with you? You went to the US, you were going to study business. How come you went from business into this film industry?
I was actually unemployed, and I had to gravitate towards Los Angeles because I was sick of the cold weather on the East Coast, and I was very lucky. I fell into a job working from the bottom up. I was an intern. I worked actually at Village Roadshow's Los Angeles offices, and that's how I got my start in the business.
Well, congratulations to you. It's been a great asset to here in Australia for us to see your films. Some wonderful films over the time. You came back to Australia, of course. You ended up setting up your own production company over in WA. And one of your first big ones, Ned Kelly?
Yeah, my company has very strong ties to Victoria, so I haven't made many films, but we've always had some connection to Victoria. And in fact, the dogs in both the Red Dog movies come from a Victorian breeder called Carol Hobdett.
I spoke to her half an hour ago on there.
Yeah, she's great, isn't she?
She's a lovely lady, absolutely. And when you're looking at dogs such as Red Dog and this one, Phoenix, that you used in this movie, how do you go about sourcing those?
I just pick up the phone and call Carol.
Well, that's a straight answer.
I learned my lesson. I did go on a sort of an Australian-wide search, but Carol's dogs have a certain special something. And in fact, what I found out recently is that they both had the same father. They're from different litters, but they both had the same father. And he's a beautiful dog called Lucky, and he's black. He's jet black Kelpie, which is a really interesting look for a Kelpie.
And gave you the Red Dog that you needed. Twice, yeah. Training a dog such as this, what's involved?
Hiring a trainer. I have nothing to do with it. We were very lucky to have Zaley Bullen, who is who's married into the Bullen family circus, and she's just has an amazing connection with all animals. She's a horse whisperer. Some of your listeners might have seen the film War Horse. Zaley trained that horse.
Oh, did she really?
Steven Spielberg. Oh. And it was an absolute delight to work with her on this second film. And she ended up generating most of the animal action that you see on the screen. And as you saw the other night, it's pretty spectacular.
Oh, it is indeed. That dog, she and the dog have just got such communication between the two of them. The eye contact that's made and the dog knows exactly what to do.
Yeah, there's a saying in the first film that sometimes you pick your dog and sometimes your dog picks you. Well, Phoenix, that dog picked Zaley from the moment he saw her.
Tell me that story. I know the background of that. Tell me what happened with the dog after the movie.
Well, there was no way we were going to separate them. So we just had our very last. We did a tour, and we always show these films to the communities that helped us get them up. So we did the very first screening, not in Sydney or Melbourne or in a film festival overseas. We did it in Dampier and Karratha. So we took the dog up there, and then we went to Perth and Sydney and Melbourne, and ended up in Brisbane and did a few regional areas. And then a couple of days ago we finished. So I gave there was no way that Phoenix was going to leave Zaley. So she's taken full possession of Phoenix.
Yeah,
we handed over the papers.
That's a beautiful, beautiful story, because I thought the dog was going to be yours. And
I did too,
yeah.
but it was very clear that was not to be. I listened to dogs, and this one wanted to stay with Zaley.
Like the horse whisperer, the dog whisperer, there it was, and you got that message loud and clear. There's something very special about these movies you're making. Red Dog went on to be a box office sensation here in Australia. The DVD sales of that over the last few years have been, well, extraordinary. I think the biggest sales ever in our history. What do you put it down to?
Look, I think it's important for Australians to see their own stories and celebrate what's special about being Australian. The reason, as a filmmaker, I'm just happy to work. So when the opportunity came up to do a second film, both the director, Chris Stenders, and the writer, Daniel Taplitz, and I jumped at the chance. We all have young children. I have 3 under the age of 8. As a result, I've seen films like Frozen about 80 times.
Yeah, you would.
Which I love. Look, I lived and worked in Los Angeles and Hollywood for almost 20 years, and it's a fabulous place, and they certainly do terrific films. I just think Australian kids should have a balance, and we wanted to make a film that we could be proud to take our kids to. And also, we're all dog lovers, so this is a film, especially the second. Both films are really films made by people who love dogs for people that love dogs.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? Look, look, the second one's a beautiful story, absolutely beautiful. This 13-year-old boy, Levi, of course, playing the lead there. We didn't see him on Saturday because he was overseas filming.
Yes, he's been swooped up by Hollywood, and he's now doing a film called Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it?
Angeles.
Yeah, and of course he did Pan last year. I think it was last year, Pan, wasn't it?
He did, with Hugh Jackman.
There was some story around, I read, about Red Dog becoming a stage musical. Is that on?
Yeah, I'm working, we're working to have that happen. This one's going to have a bit of a life first. We have a really small team. My office in Perth is just 3 people. So we're really working hard to get the word out to the new film's coming out on Boxing Day. We're very much underdogs. The film doesn't have a big budget, doesn't have big visual effects, but like the first film, it's got heart and soul. It's on the screen. The film is going to definitely roam after Boxing Day. We've been accepted into the Sundance Film Festival.
Congratulations.
I think we're about to receive news about another festival in Europe, which is exciting. So we're working really hard on that, and then eventually we love theatre and stage shows, and we love music. As you know, the music is a very, very special part of the Red Dog films. We get all that terrific Australian classic rock from the 60s and 70s, and there's a whole new soundtrack coming out from the second film, and we'd like to incorporate some of that music into a stage musical, and we'd love to work with our Melbourne-based composer of the original music, Cesare Skubieski, because the original score in both films is something very, very special, and I think part of the reasons why the films are very moving.
He's a real artist, isn't he, in what he does? He's a great conductor, great muso, and listening to that music in the movie last weekend, there was an emotion coming through all of that, and the music was telling the story as much as what the actors were on screen. And music plays such an important part in film, doesn't it?
It does, and we're really lucky. Cesare we call him the maestro, and we work on ultra low budget. So he composed all the music on his computer, and then we would record it with members of the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra while they were on a break. So before they were actually performing in Melbourne. It just sounds fantastic because it is. We just have the most amazing Victorian talent on the big screen, and we just love making these films, and I think that comes out.
I can't wait to hear the soundtrack and get a copy of that, because
we can. They don't normally do soundtracks anymore for films, but they've re-released the music on a soundtrack from the first film, and there's a whole new one for the second film. So good stocking stuffers.
Stocking fillers we need. That's it. That's it. What was it filming like filming in the WA? Weather conditions and so on against you?
Look, it's tough work. It's a very remote region. And working with dogs and children in the outback certainly is a challenge. However, I think it's worth it because the region is so beautiful, and a lot of people from Australia haven't been there. And if you see this film, this is a love letter to that region and that community, and it's worth it. A lot of people think of that region as just being a place that has mineral resources, but as filmmakers, when we go up there, we realise that it's actually there's a lot more resources, but they're stories and myths and legends and iconic Australian just stories which excite us, and we're very, very lucky and privileged to be able to make a film up there and work with the local community.
We're indebted to you because it's a magnificent movie.
It's not me, it's a team. These films are very much team effort.
It is teamwork, yeah. Well, we're indebted to you all, and we can't wait to get this on the big screen on the 26th and get the audience along to go and see it. It'll be as big, if not bigger, than the first one. I know it's going to happen that way for you.
I hope so. I mean, look,
really
if you like the film, spread the word.
Yep, my word.
And please tell your audience, if they want to see it early, check your local listings, because I know on Sunday, the 18th of December, they're doing some previews right around Australia and right around Victoria. So if you want to see it early, Sunday's your chance.
Go on Sunday, the 18th, check your local guide to see what time it's on, and head down to Village or Hoyts, or wherever you like to go, and have a look at this wonderful movie, Red Dog, True Blue. The trilogy, number 3 coming up?
I hope so. I mean, you never know. I guess it will be based on how this one, whether people embrace it or not.
Nelson, I'm sure they will. I can hear some doubt in your mind there.
In my business, you never know. Look, we really are underdogs. We're up against huge movies. Like there's this film called Moana, and there's another one called Sing. That they have, they're made by the studios. They have worldwide marketing campaigns. Yeah. We're just coming out in Australia. They're promoting all over the world. But for what I think the advantage is, we're uniquely Australian, and we're telling a story from the heart.
Nelson, I grew up in the 1950s and 60s, and a couple of movies stuck in my mind, Smiley, and Smiley Gets a Gun. Yeah,
Smiley, and the director and I are the same age, and we grew up with these coming-of-age movies, so we love Storm Boy, and films like Stand By Me, and My Life as a Dog, and in fact, there's one film we loved called Empire of the Sun, which was an early Steven Spielberg movie, and when we first saw Levi audition, he reminded us of a young Christian Bale who starred in that film.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make an Australian version of those films that hopefully our kids would cherish as much as the films we watched growing up.
And they'll live on forever, Nelson. They really, really will. Congratulations to you and the team. Thank you for taking time to talk to us on radio today.
Thank you to your listeners, because I know you're a terrific community station, and without the support of the Australian communities in the regional areas, these films wouldn't have a life. So we saw, from behalf of all the filmmakers and the team, thank you.
We'll do our best down here for you. You take care, have a happy Christmas, and all the best with the screenings.
All the best. It was great to see you the other night.
Thanks, Nelson. Bye-bye to you. Nelson Woss there, the producer and part of the team who put it all together. Red Dog, True Blue. Don't miss it. It is an excellent movie. It's out on Boxing Day. There are screenings coming up on Sunday of this week, as Nelson just told us, the 18th. If you can't get to a Boxing Day screening, you might want to go over this weekend perhaps and take a bit of the cool. Let me just play you once again the trailer for this.
Outback, Australia. Vast. Rugged. A place that creates legends. He saved my life once. Truth. Every legend has a beginning.
red. You're red. I have a good feeling about us. I think we're going to be best mates.